been doing a little more work on the floor, but I've got that one toe kick or toe board fitting fairly well now. Still a tight fit on the tunnel, but it could be that I've moved the hole slightly when I re-welded that lip, so I think I'll just give a little more relief on that front screw. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself because down in this area, actually on the opposite side, is where the handbrake goes, and there's two little cross members in there that the drive shaft actually goes right through. I've got to do a bit of work on the handbrake, and I've got to have that tunnel completely ready to install. Yeah, so I'm going to get to work on the handbrake and on the tunnel and get it completely ready for final assembly, and then I can do that in conjunction with the floorboards. So I just swing around, and I'm just about to do some sandblasting. I'll open up the cabinet here, and okay, now there's my handbrake. The chrome on it is really only bad in the one area where it's welded on both sides. So I've taped off the rest of the chrome, and I'm going to sandblast that, and that spot there I'm going to hit with a imitation chrome paint. I'll see if I can't make this thing usable. The replacement is very expensive, so I think I'm going to try and make do with what I've got. And if it really doesn't turn out, then I'll sandblast the whole thing and just paint it. So back into the blast cabinet, and once I get that cleaned up and painted, I'll show you how it looks. A few other little bits in there I'm going to clean up at the same time. Okay, very pleased with the way the handbrake is turning out. If you can recall, there was a lot of rust on there. I masked it off and sandblasted over the just where it was welded. That's where most of the rust was, and the rest of it polished up quite nicely. I used some very fine steel wool, and then this Harley Davidson chrome cleaner, and I'm impressed with that stuff. And the rest of it, I've got it all painted up and cleaned up, so I think it's going to work for me. I have to put that together before I can mount the tunnel. I have to put there's a couple of cross brackets that go inside the tunnel, so I've got to install those, and they bolt on with the same bolts that hold the handbrake in place. So there's a few things I've got to do with this. I've got to put some glue on some felt. There's a bit of felt that goes on the end between the plywood and the rear tunnel. There's a bit of felt that I have to put where the two sections of the tunnel come together, and I believe a little bit of felt up at the front where the tunnel meets the firewall panel. And then I'm getting set up to do some painting. I'll be painting all my wood panels. I've got everything drilled and fitted. So I'm going to sand them and prime them and paint them, and then I'll start assembling that tunnel and floor for keeps. Okay, well, today is paint day for the floorboards. I've got them all fitted and drilled, and I've sanded them. And in the rack there, on the one, I'm going to paint the one side, put it in the rack, do the edges, then I'll do the other side, and I'll do the edges again so that all the edges will get 2 coats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with that Endura epoxy primer, and I might thin it out a bit. It's meant for spraying, so it might be quite thin to begin with. And then I'm going to finish up with this Rylon arm implement black. I think that should be a pretty robust surface. And yeah, so I won't, I'm not going to film all of this, but I'll come back and show you the results. This is after one coat, so I still have to do the opposite side. And when I do that, I'll hit the edges again, so the edges will be done twice. Okay, there's all my floor panels all painted up. They're ready to go on now. So I'll be getting on with that. Each coat took about 24 hours to dry, so it took me a little while to get that done. I'm just starting to put the transmission tunnel together. Before I can put it in, I have to finish off this handbrake. So I've just started to mount the ratchet for the handbrake. And inside the tunnel, there's a couple of cross braces that fasten on at the same place. So they're all painted up and going back in. So I'm in the middle of doing that right now. The shifter bump on the transmission tunnel, that can't go on until after the gear shift is in place. So that'll stay off. I have the firewall panel back off. I didn't have it properly installed previously. But I'm going to put the felt on it now. It's kind of a felt gasket. I know on Barney's website, MGA Guru, he suggests just using caulking and forgetting about the felt. He feels that it holds moisture. I'm going to go ahead and use the felt. This thing isn't going to see a whole lot of moisture. And I'm thinking I might cut down some body noise transfer. I'll seal all around it with caulking after the fact. Try and keep the moisture out anyway. So I did a lot of laminate work. I was a cabinet maker before I retired, and so I'm lucky enough to have the glue, the contact cement spray bottle and applicator. So that's what I'm going to be using. But you can get the contact cement in just spray bombs, so that would work just as well. But anyway, I'll set up and you can watch me do that. I think that's going to do it. I'm going to try this Forstner bit. I'm not sure if that's actually a Forstner or just a a brad point or something like that. But okay, I got this all started back on. Just got to snug it up. That doesn't work very well. Okay. Well, everything else needs to be done with a wrench. Okay. First piece of the floorboards going in. Now I've run into another issue. This little relief that we had put on the side, I'd only beveled it, but in actual fact, it has to be, I feel it has to be cut right away. There wasn't room to get it. It wouldn't go underneath the bolts. And the same thing here for the handbrake. I think perhaps because I went with 1/2 inch instead of 3/8, but it won't slide under the I don't know what you call that, the ratchet for the handbrake. So I just took my belt sander and relieved it a little bit. So now I'm going to have to paint that before I put it in. Back, and I'm almost finished the floor. The back panel fits nicely. It's all in there. Both the floor section. This side is pretty much completely done now. I did run into another issue, and that was right up in here. I couldn't get those bolts in for that steering column gasket, so I had to relieve it a bit more so I could put the bolts in from the proper side. I probably could have done it from the other side and just dropped the nut down in there, but this is the way it's supposed to go, so I figured I'd relieve that, and now if I ever had to, I can get them out too. The same thing may apply to the other side, but I put that in first. Okay, coming around to the other side. I haven't put the front floorboards in yet, and that's because I have to glue the, there's a rubber piece that goes over that bump so that you're not resting your foot on the painted surface. You've got some rubber there. The carpet goes around it. So I've got that masked off. I'm going to spray it with contact cement in a moment. But the back part is all hard to get my camera in the right position to show it, but there we go. So getting close. You can see down, maybe you can see underneath that handbrake. So I got in there and I painted that, but you can see how I had to relieve that for those bolts so that the panel would drop in there. Same thing back here. There's that drain hole. There's also a drain hole up at the front, and I didn't make a relief for that on the other side. I might do that before I put this floorboard in. And I'll have to do something on the other side to make sure it can drain. But it's getting there. So now we'll come over here and again, let's see if I can hold this and spray. It's hard to try and watch the camera screen and pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, I think that's going to do it. You can see that there's a little bit of damage to the rubber there, but I think that's going to get hidden by the carpeting. I've got 1/2 inch of flooring and then the carpeting, so I'm thinking that should get covered up. That's the disadvantage of that. It's a little bit on the heavy side to haul around. But okay, same thing over here. And I think I'll set the camera up. Pay better attention to what I'm doing now. Okay. Now I think what I want to do is fold that back and get that started in that corner. Okay, I think that'll work. Yeah, so you can see the little bit area it's a little bit dried out, the rubber, but by the time I get 1/2 inch of plywood and then the carpet, I don't think any of that's going to be visible. Have to stick down. Anyway, so now I can go ahead and finish putting the last couple of floorboards in. Okay, the floor is completely done. I have installed the throttle pedal. I've got the bracket in there, the mount for the steering column. The lower section of the upper column. Can't put the brake and clutch pedal in yet. You have to go in after the body's on. What else? Anyway, what I'm working on now are the side closure panels, and these did not fit well at all. I'm going to lose this. Now, when I put it on here, it doesn't even quite cover. I had to drill a new hole and put another screw in here. The old cover came up quite a bit further on the side brace here. But anyway, I'm going to make it work. The other side was a little better, but not by much. Yeah, I'm going to go kind of half following Barney's recommendation and just using caulking. I am going to put the cork in here. I'm going to put some caulking underneath that as well, around the bottom and up here. I think it calls for the felt, but I don't know. I know Barney feels that the felt just holds moisture, and caulking's a whole lot easier. The felt is kind of a pain in the butt to work with, and it seems to be an awful lot thicker than what was there originally. The felt in the kit is almost a quarter of an inch thick, and the screws won't even reach the frame. So anyway, so this is going on now. I'm going to go ahead and put some sealant on here. I'm using the DAP Silicone Plus. These are going to have to come out too. Those are the old screws. I did have those lined up, I thought. That'll do for now. There it is. Anyway, that's the general idea. I'm going to have to go and get some more of those little screws, get those rusty ones out of there. The other screws are Robertson head, and they really should be Phillips head, so I might be changing those out too. But anyway, at least I got everything fit up, and hopefully that won't fall in there. Anyway, that'll work. Okay, there we have it. I've got the side closure panels installed. Basically, right now, the chassis is pretty much complete. Back as far as the, well, haven't done anything on the rear end yet, but right back to behind the seats, the rear floor board, everything is complete. The brakes are all installed. Brake lines are in. Back as far as the junction, the front steering is all in and connected, nothing aligned yet. The firewall, most of the attachments to the firewall are in place. And going around, there's the floorboards, gas pedals in, tunnels all installed, floorboards are in. And yeah, I didn't use much of the felt installing the tunnel. It's so thick, and I've already gone with 1/2-inch plywood instead of the 3/8, so I caulked it all instead. Same thing under the side panels. I originally intended to use the felt, but after using it on that firewall panel, I didn't care for it so much. So I went with the Barney Gaylord's advice and caulked it instead. So next, I'll have to get to work on the differential and get the back end together. And next week's video, I'll be introducing my MGA twin cam barn finds. So make sure you like and subscribe, hit notifications, and come on back next week. And go to my shed and let you have a look at that twin cam and stories related to it. So thanks for watching. Again, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.